Got mine. And I don't know if we have a quorum or not. I guess, let's do the roll call and find out if we could, when you're ready.
Manning,
Here.
Woodhouse,
He said he would not be here. I got notice
Okay.
on that.
Turk, Cosgrove,
Here.
Frank,
Here.
Severson, Fleming.
Here.
You need 4 and you have 4, sir.
Thank you very much for meeting that. I appreciate it. Keep moving on then. Verification open meetings law compliance. Thank you very much. Approval of agenda, looks like a 16-point agenda. Looking for a motion to accept. So thank you, Manning. Second.
I'll second.
All right, Fleming, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, moving on. Approval of the minutes from September 6th. Had a chance to look at those. Any questions or comments on those? I will look for a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes from the last
Fleming,
meeting.
thank you. Cosgrove, second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Anyone against it? All right, hearing none, moving on to public comment. Opening the floor to public comment. I know. Okay,
Yes, sir.
topic to bring up, please.
Saturday, tomorrow, from noon to 4 p.m. at Crosscut Park and EMS Garage is our fundraiser for upgrading EMS service towards an ALS paramedic level. So the activities for the whole family, there will be food. I may or may not be a dunk tank, so if you guys have an opportunity to come out tomorrow between noon and 4, we'd love to have you.
Okay. So dunk tank, food, other
There's
activities.
going to be an ambulance designing contest where kids can have
Nice.
a contest to design a big sticker for one of the future ambulances.
Okay.
There's corn roasts, food, all sorts of good stuff.
Silent auction.
Silent auction, yes. Pretty expansive silent auction, and big thank you to Pine Valley who rallied together to make some awesome baskets for us as well.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Anything else from public comment? One more time on public comment. Hearing none, moving on to reports. Sheriff Department activities.
For the month of September, we had $79,398 in vouchers. A couple big ticket items on that were for the K-9, new K-9. Number of jail bookings is 48. Average number of inmates housed is 30. 415 for monthly complaints, 35 traffic citations issued, 1 warning, 23 civil process papers served, and 13 transports for the month. Average number on electronic monitoring has been 8. Dispatch activity, we had 701 calls for service, 97 calls for EMS, and 130 calls for the police department. I talk a little bit about, we have some bills being for K-9 and some equipment for the K-9. We're just completing week 4 of training, so we have 2 more weeks of training, and then the new K-9 will be joining us here again and on patrol. So
2 more weeks and the K-9 will be here and ready.
Yep, here and working. Yep.
Is that, I'm not sure what that shift is. I think this committee would like to meet.
Yeah.
The K-9, if we could work that out at one of the meetings.
Be working I shift, but we can make arrangements for
I
that.
think that would be helpful for everybody.
Yeah.
One of the things I did notice on your report, and I don't know why I haven't thought of this before, 97 calls for EMS. That's all EMS in the county?
That's all EMS in the county.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you have fire numbers? Out of curiosity, how many times has the fire department been utilized or sent out? Is that even,
That's something I could find.
could you? I think that'd be an interesting
Yeah.
number to keep the committee up on.
Yeah, we could add
The
that.
volume.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we know what services we're giving out to the entire community from our side.
I mean, I would venture to guess, and I would not try to put a number on it, but a lot of your EMS calls, or a handful of your EMS calls, there's probably fire involved.
Yeah, exactly.
Crashes and
Right.
stuff like that.
Right.
But I wouldn't try to put a number on it.
Right, no, if that's an easy thing to pull out of the system, I think that would be helpful information to have as a history.
Yeah, we'll look into that.
Thank you.
Yep.
So any other activities that you have, Sheriff? Yes. All right, any questions for the sheriff under that topic? Hearing none, moving on to department, or I'm sorry, coroner.
So coroner report for the month of September. So a total of 9 calls in September. 6 of the 9 calls were hospice cases. Ages of the decedents range from age 61 to 85 throughout the month. 1 case was autopsied. Cause of death included 3 dementia related death, 4 cancer, 1 heart related, 1 pending still. 8 of the 9 calls were cremations, and 2 of the cases were COVID positive. Only 1 of those cases was COVID, an actual contributor to the death. The second case, COVID was found post-mortem in the autopsy, but determined not to be a contributing factor to cause of death. Furthermore, I've got a paragraph from Jim I wanted to share that he forwarded to me. It says, I would still like to find an individual or individuals who would be willing to help, willing and able to take all of the daytime calls during the week. I appreciate Mike helping our office out, but it's not obviously not feasible for him to cover every weekday from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. with his other duties. My wife and I are now covering Monday through Friday, 24 hours a day, with the exception of a few hours here and there that Mike is able to cover when we have other responsibilities. When it is a week that we also have to cover the weekend, it means 12 days in a row, 24/7 for our household, which is proving to be far too much. And when I read that from Jim when he first sent it, it kind of hit me that this is a sentiment that I think we're hearing from a lot of department heads in the county. I think as department heads, it's really difficult to talk about how much you're giving out of fear of overstepping or overshadowing how much your people are doing. But I think it says a lot to how well people are committed to getting things done and making sure that these essential services and statutory services are happening. But people are starting to feel it, and people are getting tired. And hopefully with our new captain position now starting in EMS wise, we'll be able to get him spun up with some corner duties as well. But as you saw the sheriff's report, our call volume is going up too. It's getting busy. So hopefully a path forward with that. But outside of that, Stephen, any questions for coroner's report?
Yes.
I just have a couple questions. So in the past, has the coroner department had an assistant and just now doesn't anymore, or?
So the reason why there is a gap right now in that Monday through Friday slot is there was somebody doing Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. She took a full-time job elsewhere, and so that left that piece open.
So then, wouldn't we have posted for that position? Because I don't think we've ever posted an open position, and is there money budgeted for that open position?
So for the coroner's office, it's a stipend-based reimbursement. So you get the mileage reimbursement, and then if it is a cremation case, it's $120 reimbursement, and for a burial case, it's $90 reimbursement on top of mileage. So I don't know that the deputy coroner position is truly a position within, but that's something we can definitely work on, and discuss with Jim and get together, maybe have a little work group on it and discuss how we're gonna make sure this is sustainable moving forward.
Right.
Yeah, get it advertised, get it posted, see if there's.
Even if it's just, in the paper for just what you're detailing there, whether it's, an open position, a county position, or whatever that position is, but getting something posted either on our website or in the paper or whatever our normal avenues are. 'Cause you're never gonna fill it if people don't know about it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Other questions? The questions on the coroner department activities? All right, thank you very much. We will follow up, and I can talk to Candace about getting that posted too, and what that looks like. So we will chat about that again. Circuit Court Judge, department activities.
So the judge was not able to be here. She was hoping to, but there were some things that came up with Vernon County cases that became more pressing, especially in the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
So, and especially in the last few days. So she has several Vernon County jury trials in addition to her Richland County cases. And so they're taking a lot of time and effort right now. So she just asked to pass on that taking care of cases and other issues became more pressing.
Sure.
So she apologizes for not being here, but just felt like she was under time constraints and she was gonna have to make some decisions in those cases and how they were gonna move forward. So having said that, then the court security, under K, the court security report, she was
Yes.
just asked if she could table that to next month.
Okay. That's perfect. All right. Any questions on that? Table it, that's the next meeting. I think that's very reasonable. All right. Okay, gets tabled. All right, thank you very much. Clerk of court, anything else? Any other questions? Okay. Clerk of court, department activities, Stacy did send an email out, did have her information in there and she's got, some things going on, so she's not here today. Was there anything specific other than, what was in the email anybody knows of? Okay. So she did send that email out and her report stuff is in there. Any questions on that at this point? All right, hearing none, we're going to keep moving on then. Register and probate.
So as you can tell, since the judge isn't here and Stacy's not here, we've been busy. So I just have to reiterate that. So my deputy's been out the last 2.5 weeks. She had knee replacement surgery and so she's gonna be out a little bit more. And so we're feeling that. There's also some illnesses going around and so on top of the heavy caseload, we're a little bit short-staffed right now too. So that's just contributing to kind of as mentioned that, you know, when we're all feeling well and we're all there, it's all right. But when someone is sick or someone has a surgery or someone unexpected things pop up with cases or individuals, it does feel like all of a sudden things become a lot. So I just, you know, when we're fully staffed, we are capable of handling everything and people fill in and work extra hours and do those things. But when things come up that it does feel like we get stressed a little bit. Having said that, we have been working very hard. The judge is just to continue on, we're working on new processes. We've been, all of us together have been working on making some changes in cases and we're trying to be more efficient and just doing things together. So, and Deb Schwartz has been working with the judge and so we're having roundtable discussions on our guardianships and non-juvenile cases and things to just try and keep everybody on board and working together from HHS over here in the DA's office, that we all work together with different pieces to the puzzle. So I feel like we, as the judge and her judicial assistant, that we're making progress in a lot of those areas.
So Deb Schwartz for the committee, you want to just connect what Deb Schwartz's piece is?
So she is our family court commissioner. And so, for example, if the judge is gone, she hears bail hearings. She also does stipulated divorces. If there's no one contesting anything, then she comes in and does that. And so we're trying to utilize her a little bit more than we have even in the past. So.
Okay. Any questions?
So as far as budget, I'm under budget right now, so that's good.
Yes, I see 61. That's-
I have a hearing with Judge Allen at 9:30, so he's out of Iowa County, and so this morning we have Judge Basco, Judge McDougal, and Judge Allen all
Here?
not here.
Oh,
Zooming.
A lot of them are still Zooming. Originally,
Okay.
Judge Allen was gonna come here, but then things settled within the case, and so now that's just gonna be a Zoom hearing. So things are constantly changing, even up to hours and sometime before the case takes place. So, but all of those hearings still are taking place regardless of whether they're by Zoom or not. So we're still, I guess the only update, just real quick, is we still do not have Zoom in the small courtroom.
That's my next question. Okay.
So we're still working on that.
Is that in process?
So I think that's part of the project with, was my understanding, I could be wrong on this, my understanding on this project, they're gonna start with jail. And then some of those things tying in will come after that in the small courtroom.
Okay, all right. Wanna make-
That's not really, sorry, it's Barb.
Oh, thank you, Barb.
Hey, it's not really related to that project at all, I'll be completely honest, but working with that project right now, the deadlines for that financial spending, as you're aware of, are the end of the year. So our focus has to be there. And while the courtroom project is extremely important to us and we appreciate that they need it there, our time is just so limited. We can only spread it so thin. So our intention is there. We will definitely get it done. We just have to focus on the radio project has to be completed before the end of the year.
So that's still on the plate?
Absolutely, 100%.
The funding is there for that? Are we good with that?
Yes, everything is there.
All right, so we'll push that at another time then. Is that what you're saying?
I appreciate the graciousness of the court to allow us just a little bit of time. It's just, we're really, really stretched thin with the rest, but we appreciate your patience. We really do.
Thank you for the update. Thank you. All right, good to know it's still there and available. Any questions on register and probate? What else do you have?
No, that's it.
So, all right, no other questions? Moving on, district attorney. Hi. Is that it? Okay, no.
All right, so it's such in the packet too. Oh, can we talk about, farther down, we have consideration of the ordinances and
Yeah,
the bathroom things, only because, we have a lot of court this morning in a lot of different places. This is why I have 2 computers on my desk, is so I can see which court I'm supposed to be into.
so where do you want to go to?
Yep, that one's fine.
Which one?
The ordinance, which you have up here.
Just trying to see what number it is here, so I can. 9, discussion of possible action disorderly conduct with a motor vehicle ordinance, item number 9. We're going to move to that.
Sure.
All right.
Yes, so we've talked about this a lot over the last couple of months. Spoke, obviously, because my memos from a long time ago, I spoke with Corporation Counsel. Basically, what has to happen is for my office to be able to prosecute a case, the language has to be consistent with a crime. In the statute, for instance, there's no crime of smoking outside the courthouse. So I can't prosecute that because there's not a crime of smoking outside the courthouse. So, but the contempt and the disorderly conduct with a motor vehicle, so that's 9 and then 10, that language follows the language in the state statute for crimes, and passed those by window. They were passed a long time through him a long time ago, and then I had to give a little tiny blurb in actual English as to what these ordinances are.
Okay. Going back. So then who sets the fines?
Sure, so my understanding is, so the reason I put based on whatever our schedule is when all the ordinances get revamped, which has been an ongoing project for an inordinate amount of time. There was going to be a reconsideration of the forfeitures. Right now, base forfeitures, this is not including court costs, the range is $20 to $400 is what can be a penalty applied. I don't know what the forfeitures are going to look like. I don't know if the mandatory minimums are going to go up. I have no idea. So I figured if we had this consistent with all of the other forfeiture amounts, then if the forfeiture amounts go up or down today, tomorrow, 3 years from now, 10 years from now, we wouldn't have to go back and redo the ordinance.
Okay, so what do you need from this committee? Is this
Yep.
ready to go?
Yep, this is completely ready to go. And so I just need this committee, I believe, to pass it on to either the full board or some other committee you think needs to see it.
Okay,
I'll make a motion.
all right. I have a motion from Manning. I have a second from Fleming to move this on to. I think we can write the county board.
Yeah. I don't think it has to go anyplace else.
I don't think it does either.
For 9 and 10. Motion to approve both.
For 9 and 10. Your motion's for 9 and 10?
Yes.
Okay, your second is good for
Yes.
that. All right, discussion on this. We've had a lot of, it's been going on for a while and I think we're finally getting to it.
Like these kids that take off and then they pop a black.
Okay, so, right, so that's the whole thing, is that we have all of these ordinances for all different stuff. Like, for that, that's probably what's called a display of power, right? So that kind of thing, or chirping your wheels is a display of power. The problem is we have all these little tiny ordinances for all this little tiny, what I would call jerky driving behavior, right? And there's some jerky driving behavior that we don't really have an ordinance for. So this disorderly conduct with a motor vehicle, this will take care of all of that kind of stuff. But the officers can still use their discretion, right? Sometimes kids, like my kid, one of my kids, who I will not name, she chirps the wheels coming out of my driveway every time because she can't, because we're on 14 and she gets afraid of going out. And she busts up her wheels all the time. I've got to keep paying for the tires and my gravel. So obviously, if an officer saw that, the officer could say, okay, honey, you need to get out onto 14 better than this because your mom's spending a lot of money. Or someone that we have a lot of problems with in town for a lot of other behaviors. This is a constant behavior. We know there's other bad driving behaviors. Law enforcement can see their behavior and determine whether or not it's appropriate to cite for that. So sometimes it's a warning, sometimes it's a learning experience. Sometimes it's just an officer saying, we're watching what you're doing. This is not appropriate. Sometimes it's a citation. So this does not do anything with officers' discretion. And I know that on the contempt of court, and of course, Sheriff and I have talked about these a lot, the contempt of court citations, they will not be citations utilized by officers. Those will be utilized by my office as a way to, as a part of dispositions in a larger case where maybe there's a bail jumping and they shouldn't be convicted of the bail jump as a crime, but they shouldn't get nothing. So this is for behavior sort of in the middle, like the guy who brought the brick to court to prove a point and banged it on the small courtroom table, and there's still, well, there was a mark. So for things like that, is it crime? No. Is it nothing? No. And so we have this in the middle. So that's not going to be issued by law enforcement.
This is something we're looking at about 5-6 months ago, is that?
And every month since.
I've been at least that, if not longer. The discussion process has been beyond that.
Yes.
So this is the multi-year discussion finally coming.
Multi-year.
Oh, I think there's been a discussion for a couple of years.
Oh,
Trying
forever.
to figure out how best to hold this together.
Oh,
Yep.
I see.
Yep.
And then now finally coming home.
We're there.
Yeah. Kudos. Yeah. All right, so we do have a motion, we do have a second. We've had some discussion. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor of moving this then on to the county boards, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, I will meet with people to get that done. Thank you. All right, that takes care of item number 9 and 10. Anything else then, District Attorney?
And do we have the boards on the agenda that I sent out?
I don't see that on here.
All right, then we'll have to put that on for the next one. I sent these around. We talked about these before. I sent a bunch of the posters around.
All right,
We got the little plastic things.
you're gonna put them in the bathroom? We talked about that
Yeah.
previously.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
they spoke about that at Public Works last night.
It was approved.
All right.
It works. All right.
There we
that's
go.
good.
Thought I had to be here first, but there you go. Thank you. Good news.
Efficiency, happen. How? Who?
This is your name.
Yeah, and I didn't have to go to the meeting. Right, so, and then the last thing I just wanted to talk about, couple of just brief things. We've been talking about getting a kiosk here somewhere. We've done this for many, many years. Basically, there are kiosks that look like very small ATM machines, which is redundant, but where people would get notice, they're on bond. So often, always, when there is a bond in a case, that means there are certain conditions someone has to abide by. Very, very often, there is a requirement that someone has to provide blood, breath, or urine upon reasonable suspicion and a reasonable request of law enforcement to comply with the bond. This makes sense, for instance, in a drunk driving case, when someone's drinking, right? We want to make sure when they're out and about, they're not drinking, right? If they're not drinking, we don't need to keep them in jail, right? So that's really the nugget of what we want for public safety. We've been talking for a long time about how to get some better testing. Because now what happens is if someone's out on an OWI, the only time they really get tested is if law enforcement comes across them in some other fashion, maybe being a passenger in a car, or maybe it's very hit and miss. It's not very routinized as far as monitoring drugs or alcohol compliance with the bond. So we've been talking about a kiosk. So a kiosk is like a little ATM, and it's pretty slick. Our jail administrator, Devin Rupnow, and I watched the demonstration. I've spoken with the judge about it. It's sort of an ongoing discussion between my department and the sheriff's department and the jail about how to the kiosk get set up through a person, right? So this is one of the things that we're talking about. And for an individual offender, consistent with the court order, and let's say the court order is, blood, breath, or urine upon request of law enforcement, you can set it up so that an offender has to come in twice a month randomly, or 1 to 3 times a week, or however the court thinks it's appropriate and sets out a policy for how often an offender has to come get tested. Then there are windows where they get tested. There are alerts that they get as to when they have to test. There's all kinds of cool stuff. Basically, you come in and you have to use a thumbprint to get into your system. You put in your money to pay for it, to pay for your blow. Put in your money, use your thumbprint. There's a video that takes a picture of you while you blow on, they're like those old straws that you get maybe from Quick Trip that are in the little plastic things. You do that, it takes a sample of your breath and goes on. There's a lot of cool features with that, which I think would work really well. It's $1,500 a month. We can set up the setup fee, the fee per blow, the fee for all of these kind of things, however the county thinks is appropriate. The machine itself does not do drug tests, but there is the same alert function that you can use, the random alert function that says you have to arrive at the sheriff's department between X and X time to get a urine sample. All of these things were features that we learned about. There's a lot of further discussion that has to go on. How does it get paid for? How does it, when there are bodies that are needed, say you have an alert to come in for a drug test. So you come in, you check in, you pay your money, you check in, you get the visual. We still need a person on the other end to actually administer the urine test, right? So at some point there's going to be a body involved, which is why this is all part of a very, very big discussion, but we are moving forward on this. The kiosk has a lot of other features. Sort of one of the things that the judge said is, since you can do drug tests or alert for drug tests and have people come in for drug tests, that perhaps this kiosk is something that we can use for with opioid money, because so much of what we have, and so we might be able to get opioid settlement funding for this. Like I said, it's $1,500 a month. There's a 2-year contract. The $1,500 is a flat fee. There's no setup fee. 10,000 straws come free with it. It's 40 bucks for another set of 10,000 straws. Every 2 years, you have to get another tank of assay gas. Basically, the machine does an internal check, just like on the old breath machines, the ECIRs, to make sure that the machine is calibrated properly. Basically, you blow, and after everyone does this, there's an internal check with a standardized gas to make sure that it's functioning properly. That's however much it is every 2 years. So there are some very minor additional costs. So anyway, it's part of a larger conversation. I'm very excited about it. There are a lot of pieces that have to be put together, but at least we have some basic information. And the technology is way better than I thought it was. I mean, it's pretty slick, I have to say. So we're looking at that. Very excited about the drug dog You do not know what's gonna happen to my numbers. Everyone chuckles. What are gonna happen to my numbers when we get the new drug dog? But we got the numbers back from the state, so every 2 years, because the state has got a 2-year budget cycle, we get the numbers, the DA's offices get their numbers on, there's a weighted case study, they pull all the money from what's our protect system, they assign time to each one of the kind of cases that we have, and then what cases we have, what kind of time is associated with that cases, and they come out with a number as to how many prosecutors we should have in our office. We have 1.8 prosecutors in our office. We are the only county that has this aberrant 0.8. And right now, by the state numbers, I think we need to have 2.33 prosecutors. So based on the numbers, I put in a request in this next budget to get an additional 0.2 prosecutors. So that would take us up to 2 full-time instead of a full and a part. So that's a long process too. But I thought I'd like.
And that's the state funding.
State funded, yeah, it basically, yep, that's all paid for, everything. But there wouldn't need to be any new equipment or anything like that.
Definitely very interested in the kiosk. I'd be curious how many offenders would be using it. I mean, just the whole picture of how that would look is going to be important.
Sure. So I looked at, just very briefly, I looked at, so I think that there are about 150 people who should be on a blood, breath, or urine for alcohol. And so, right, so you spool that out. And so if all those people are on alcohol, which means a blow, and the guy who I was talking about gave a range of what different counties do as far as costs. And like I said, you could do a setup fee, which I think we should be doing. And then some places do it for free because that's just their policy. And he said otherwise, $1, $2, $3, something like that. And I was like, well, if you have to blow 1 to 3 times a month, 1 to 3 times a week, at $3 a crack, we're covering our costs every year. And I do not believe the criminal justice system is meant to generate funding for counties, but there are places that say, based on what your offender load looks like, you might end up with an excess every month. So the 136 then for drug testing is a little different because we're going to require a body for that. But those you can require more cost for those, right? Because we want to cover the cost of the cups and the stuff. And undoubtedly for the drug test, we would do like 1 a month for those offender. But that's because that's body, there's a human resource that's necessary for that. So, so that's what I can tell you about the numbers.
Keep us,
as of right now.
yeah, keep us informed. I think
Yep.
it's,
Jennifer, have
Yes.
you talked to other counties that's using this, how they?
Oh, yeah. Other counties love this. They have these same kiosks around the country. So in fact, let's say an offender gets a notice that they have, within the next 8 hours to go blow. There very well may be a kiosk near where they are in Florida, right? So they're on vacation. They're like, what am I supposed to do with this? There's a list of these all over the country. So you can go into the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department and blow on this same machine here. And since it's all based on your fingerprint, we would get the information here. Whoever's administering it here would get the information. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty amazing. It's, and places all over the place use it, all over the county. Yeah, it's very, it's heavily used by different counties.
Cool. Are any of those counties local counties like Iowa County or Vernon or anywhere here?
Yes, Iowa has one.
Iowa does, okay.
Yep. And, we can set up a Zoom thing if anyone wants to watch it again. I think we're gonna have the judge do it. She was gonna be in on our Zoom with Devin and I. She ended up with an emergency thing for court, so could not. I can do that again with her. Otherwise, the guy can come down and give an in-person demonstration. I can say that the stuff that he had it is really amazing technology that can be used in a lot of different ways, far beyond what we would use it for, but definitely has a capacity to do some pretty amazing things, both for treatment court, which is another sort of hook in treatment court, because perhaps they wouldn't have to use the technology they have for people to come in. If we had this technology, and there's ways for PNP to utilize it, so it's, the Zoom was beyond what we needed, but if you wanted to set up a Zoom and watch how this works, you can certainly do that as well.
Would you also know that Carrie was online now?
Exactly.
All right. Other questions? I think it's a great next step. Other questions or the comments? Knowing Iowa County has it is also a help, so.
So does it reduce burden for the sheriff's department?
No, it's
No.
probably gonna increase it.
Or increase it?
That's why we're all gonna have to talk to sort of figure out how this gets done, how it's funded, and maybe not the sheriff's department. I've learned that there's a new person over at Health and Human Services that's, I am hazy yet on what her position is, and who knows if that person would be the person who could actually take the urine cups, because that's really one of the main things that's going to be the human resource that is necessary. So perhaps it would be someone who's not in the sheriff's department who would be doing that testing.
Well, they can't just go pee in this kiosk.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
that would be great.
Well, how's that popping up over the top?
Keep all the dogs away.
Technology, who knows where it's going to go. All right. Anything else? Questions for this? Great future idea and updates. So thank you. Emergency management.
Hello again.
Thank you.
So a couple of quick things on emergency management, I'll turn it over to John. So first bit is October 26th, we'll be hosting a mass casualty incident drill at the hospital. It'll be an 8-hour training day. Looking forward to that. Be a lot of coffee, but I think we got some good scenarios planned. Looking forward to doing that. Number two, happy to announce that thanks to John's hard work, we were approved for our computer and hazmat grant. So it's a total funding of
8,245.
So that's some iPads, some awesome emergency management radios that have not only dual band capabilities, but it's got VHF, UHF, 700, 800, cellular, everything that we would need for interoperability for any major incidents in the county. So very grateful to have that grant award. Just to follow up on the replacement vehicle, the shared vehicle replacement thing. So it was initially went to Joint Ambulance Committee, and Joint Ambulance Committee said, we'd like to have a motion on this once we know that the county has supported this agenda item. So we went through the channels of public safety and executive finance, and it was brought up, well, the committee did not approve it yet, the Joint Ambulance Committee, so it kind of went back into that cycle. And there's still discussion there, and that item is something indefinitely.
I think we just tabled it
Yes.
the last meeting.
This is
special
the
verbiage used, so no movement on that, so.
this is the rented or the leased vehicle.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So no movement on that, I just want to give an update there.
When do they meet again? Is that going to be?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so that's coming up again shortly. Okay.
So there's that bit, and then next thing for emergency management is EMVG and our EPGAR grant, which is a good chunk of funding. And that, you sir?
Yeah, that's due at the end of the month. So we need to go in the grants and primarily put in budgetary numbers, which I think are a little bit fuzzy yet, because I don't think we know what's going to happen with the 32-hour-a-week situation.
That's the big piece.
So we're going to have to kind of move on what we're going to do for 2025, because I can't put fictitious numbers in that grant.
Right now,
I don't know what the salary budget's going to look like for
what the
2025.
notice of funding opportunity says for this grant is John's position is always, his contract position has been funded by the EMPG upgrade grant. The contract services is no longer payable by EMPG EPCR funds moving into next year.
Okay.
And we've got a reduction in funds. I forget the total percentage.
It's a 10% drop because of the Mayorkas.
Okay.
So with that piece, looking forward, we're trying to make it so January 1st, we have a position for John as a county employee working 32 hours a week in emergency management, covering that 24-hour requirement of the EMPG EPCR grant weekly for emergency management, and to just better streamline our Office of Emergency Management. Because right now, we have to choose between being out in the community and meeting emergency management needs that way, and sitting at the computer and doing a lot of grant stuff, paperwork,
Correspondence.
administrative stuff. And it's difficult to have to sit there and make the decision of, do you go meet the need of community member A? Or do you make sure that this box is checked for, this item? And
Yeah.
I mean, emergency management already probably 10 emails a day.
All the exercises, et cetera. It's quite, administratively, it's a significant burden.
So the 32 hours would be covered by the grant then?
So that is the 60% of my salary is
Okay.
covered out of the 110, out of that chunk. So that 60% that pays my salary would pay John 30 to 32 hours a week. And the plan would be for Fund 51 then to absorb my salary. I would remain in the position of Director of Emergency Management. That would not change. I'm not trying to get out of emergency management duties. We're trying to actually expand the emergency management roles a bit to where, again, with us bringing in a new captain, eventually he will have to go through emergency management certification as well. And the hope is to have an on-call emergency manager on duty in that building 24/7. And just try to put all those pieces together of how that's going to work. But as it stands right now, between the two of us, as is, it's pretty dang difficult to be a functional office of emergency management and do the computer stuff, but also be advocates for our people and work with the community.
That grant is due when?
October 31st.
End of this month.
Yeah. So we gotta make a decision how we're gonna do the salary and position budget in a week or two. This is gonna take me that long to enter all of the budgetary numbers in the E-grants for EPCR EMPG.
And have you been,
This has been in discussion since probably about July, I think. So I think tentatively, that's where we're headed with the budget, but it's not finalized, and
and we won't finalize the budget at the end of this month.
the federal government.
So I have the option of submitting it as proposed and then later on work with WIM on putting modifications into that. It's extraordinarily difficult to do, but it's not doable. So,
It's a pain.
given that we're in the situation we're in with all the transitions in the last 15 months, for me, it makes sense to just put the proposal in there. It's fairly reasonable. I think WIM will approve it as is. And we're not talking more than $31,000 here, so it's not a major budget. But I can put it in as we're thinking about doing it right now, and then if it modifies in December, January, I can reopen the grant and then put the final numbers into it.
And the other big piece too, so under your contract, John, how many hours a week are you contracted?
Again, for right now, I'm putting in the same 20 that I've been putting in since a year ago.
So I
But
think your
the hours
hours
I'm getting paid for, it's not covering the 40 that I'm actually working. So I'm donating 20 hours a week and have been to the county every week since last November. You're welcome.
I think another way to solidify that point too is when Darren had retired, John was interim emergency manager and he was working 40 to 45 hours a week in that role alone. And we had an interim ambulance service director working 40 to 45 hours a week alone. And it's not enough hours. And we need to make sure that both of those organizations are able to meet their mission.
I just wanted to note that October 22nd is our county board meeting, and that's where we should be finalizing our budget for next year.
Okay, I can get everything else put in there as placeholders in each one of the sections of the grant application. And I can go back in and edit those numbers before the 31st. So if you have a really good idea by the 22nd, I'd have a really
We should
good
have a really
idea by
good
the
plan.
23rd.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be finalized and.
So if this proposal here makes it to that and it's accepted as that, then I will put those
Then you
numbers
would
in the
use
grant.
those numbers. Yep.
Yeah, and even if they need to shift a little bit, if it's only one or two sections having to do with that part of the budget, opening that grant back up and making some small changes like that is not very good.
That's the other big thing to think about too, is if we aren't able to get that finalized December 31st, job's done. And I can't do emergency management without them, so.
All right, so we're gonna hang it on the 22nd and you can get stuff started.
Yeah, I'm gonna start probably by Wednesday of next week. I'll open everything up, Christina Page and I'll go through it item by item, and then we have a regional meeting, I think, on the third Thursday of the month. Christina will be there for that, and I think we'll crack open that grant one more time, and then whatever issues are hanging, I think, is that the
17th.
17th, I think it is, so it'd be just before you had yours. Christina, Mike, and I think at the regional meeting can probably get most of everything set. Structure-wise within the grants on the application side of the budget, so that by the 22nd, I think everything can go in there fairly quickly, and then we can close it out 24th, 25th, and then submit it.
Pretty tight, but doable.
Yeah. I mean, as long as there's no major structural questions about January 1st, 2025. If all of a sudden we do something completely different, well, okay.
It is government, it has to change. So,
I'll be flexible,
okay,
but there
All
may
right.
be limits.
all right. Anything else? Emergency management?
I got it. All right, so I got to do 2 meetings here for the LEPC in the next month and a half. I think one of those is going to have to include a small tabletop exercise for Schreiber and then the school district.
Thanks.
So I'll be having 2 LEPC meetings, and in one of those, I'll be approving all of the plans that I have to do. So should be an LEPC budget for that work that I think I will be able to submit an invoice on in December. So then that would be the closeout for the 2024 grants.
Okay, perfect.
And we're going to continue to work on the IPP, but I think there's going to be modifications to that because I've got to still do and Clay and I were loosely working on courthouse security plans. I don't know if we're going to be able to do a tabletop before 2025, but I could rewrite into that plan that January 2025 will have the tabletop there, February or whatever, for beefing up courthouse security.
Okay.
I think that's it.
Covers the bases.
So we got,
Okay,
That's it.
questions,
Questions?
pieces to work on and some decisions hopefully by the end of the month, looks like.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions, any comments?
I just have a comment.
Yes, sir.
It's Carrie. So I just want to remind the committee that Mr. Heinen, John Heinen, is a contracted employee. He has his own business. And if he were to feel that he's being underpaid, he should submit, in my theory, higher requests for more payment. So I disagree with some of the comments that were made. I'm in support of some of them, but not all of them. I just want you to know that he is a contracted employee and that he can actually increase his contract when that contract is due. And then we can discuss that as a council.
And when is that contract up?
At the end of the year.
End of the year, okay?
December 31st.
So I disagree with some of the statements that were made, but not all of them. That's just what I just wanted that out there.
Hey, thank you, that's why we have these discussions. Appreciate that. So, have you been asked for a new contract yet? Information? Or,
I think as of the end of 2024, because WEM has changed the criteria for those
Right.
grants, it was just assumed that at the end of the year, the contract portion of it would be up and it'd be terminated at that point. No new contract would be negotiated
okay,
for EPCOR EMPG, which had been the case before. And that we transition into
an appointment,
an employment W-2 type of situation from a 1099 situation.
because they're not funding contracted services anymore.
Exactly.
Okay, All
That
right,
doesn't mean that the county couldn't continue it. She said it wouldn't be reimbursed by the state as it had been, which was the understanding prior to.
all right. Carrie, thank you. Any other comments, Carrie? Anyone
I
else?
do have a lot, but I'm not gonna say it over here.
Okay. Any other comments? All right, hearing none, moving on to the PSAP and GIS grants. Barb, Clay, where are we?
Hold on here.
Anything new on those?
Yep, we submitted the 2023 grants and I actually am looking at, we're just about completely closed out on those. They just had a couple of questions. I accidentally submitted a form incorrectly. I just had to update the last one and show proof that we actually paid one bill completely. We paid it out of two funds and I didn't supply the other fund. Other than that, those grants look good. We have not heard about the 2025 grants yet, and we are working through the 2024. GIS grant, we did not receive the PSAP grant in 24. So they're all submitted for 25. We just haven't heard if we've received them or not.
I'm hoping to get an update this next week on that last round that was submitted.
Mhm.
So hopefully in a couple of weeks, we'll have more information on how that's going.
All right.
All right, anything else with that? Any questions on that? I think that's been very useful ongoing grant and it's going to be increasing hopefully in the near again. All right,
Those are fees coming back from the cellular phone bills.
those are the fees that come off 75 cents off of your cell phone. Now goes into what is now officially called the 911 fund. It used to be called Police and Fire Protection. That has now been renamed as of January 1st, I think, to the 911 surcharge fund. So it is designated for 911 service.
And that's per state or per nation?
Per state.
Per state.
Yeah, that's a Wisconsin topic. All right. Radio tower project.
Start on, right?
So we are still moving along in the radio tower project. We have 3 outlying towers that we are moving much closer to agreements on. That would be the Yuba Tower, the Richland Center Tower, and the Boaz Tower. As we finish those agreements, that will allow us to solidify our contour study and we'll be able to finish those things by the end of the year. The majority of the project should be wrapping up in the time frame. The Yuba Tower will be an outlier that will have to finish outside of the initial time frame. It's just that we haven't been able to come to an agreement with the landowner, and we're working through those. Otherwise, we are actually building towers. We've got roads in, they're completed at the site in Westport and the site in Viola. And I know that they have footings poured and we're putting up towers. They're also working on the Gotham site.
So we have physical tower structures starting to go up?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome.
Spend that down by December 31st.
So go ahead, Barb.
We'll have the majority of it spent down. There will be the outlier tower in Yuba. We are not truly penalized if we don't spend the money down. What happens is we cannot take the earnings on the portions that are not spent by December 31st. So any interest that we gained on those funds, we have to return. But it's not truly a penalty in that we have to pay back money.
Right, yeah, so the interest, we could have used that interest into the project if we met the deadlines. If we don't meet the deadlines, then that money that was earned goes back into we don't get to use that. So we're not losing the initial net amount, what was growing, would have been nice.
Is that going?
It's only a portion of that.
Pardon?
And it's only a portion of that because we're gonna spend the majority of it.
So it's an opportunity cost of some
Yeah.
thousands of dollars.
Yeah, yeah, because of deadlines and trying to meet contracts that just don't always get met.
But the budget is covered by the.
Yes, the budget, yes, it's covered. Yeah. This would have been extra. This would have been on top of, this would have
So
been
it's
some
the icing on the
gravy.
cake that's a little thinner than it would have been.
Yeah. This would have been some gravy that would have been nice.
Okay, got
Meat and potatoes are still there.
it. Yeah. Along with the birds.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't get me started.
And as the clerk had noted, or register and probate had noted, we are Sergeants is running wiring through the courthouse, and before the end of the month, the new camera systems that are part of this radio project and the new dispatch console jail controls will be in before the end of October.
Excellent. Excellent. Everything all at once.
Yes, it is.
Well, that means all the pieces have been building, and that's why it does that. So.
Things are coming together.
All right, anything else on the radio tower project?
Clay, did I miss anything?
I think so.
All right, coming together, excellent. Any other questions from the committee? Moving on to item J, I think we pretty much covered everything there, but squad updates, mapping radio systems, squad updates.
We got a squad being assembled right now at GenCom.
Okay,
Should be here in the next week or so.
is that replacing the one that you have the high mileage on, 170,000?
Well,
Or is that?
we were going to be replacing, let me pull up my thing. We were going to be replacing one. We will be holding one back now though.
Okay.
So, well, pending the approval of the budget. So,
Okay, so we're gonna be adding.
Yeah.
Another vehicle.
so
on.
we're adding a vehicle. Assuming everything goes with the budget as
Correct.
anticipated.
All right. Any other questions on item J? Okay, item K, courthouse security report, we have tabled that, for the next meeting. Moving on to approval of monthly invoices, Sheriff.
Yes, so as I mentioned earlier in my report, with the K-9 soon to be here and working for us, there are a couple items regarding the K-9, one of which we have a resolution to pass later in the meeting. But if you look at that, they're kind of some one-off high-ticket numbers in the monthly bill, one being to Driftless Outdoors. That's for to kind of describe it, it's a shed and kennel all in one on skids. So currently the K-9 handler that's getting this new dog rents his residence. So this will give us the ability to drag it up onto a trailer and move it if we ever have to. But yeah, it's actually a really nice setup. I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's 6 foot by 16 feet, and it's the whole unit's on skids, composite decking for the outdoor run. Should be pretty easy to maintain, easy to clean.
And that's not coming out of the budget, that's
That's coming out of the K-9 fund.
out of the K-9 funds.
Yep.
That's really not in the budget.
Yeah, so it's not,
Okay.
yeah, it's coming out of donated funds. And then the other item to go along with that is the actual purchase of the K-9, the training, and the housing during training. So to kind of give a broader look of what that $20,000 is, it's not just the dog. It's the 6 weeks of training and it's the 6 weeks of housing at the training facility. So that's kind of what goes into that price tag.
It's in the Carolinas, isn't it?
No, it's in Indiana.
Oh, Indiana?
Peru, Indiana.
Okay.
Yep.
Thankfully, not in the Carolinas at this point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just got back over there, so. Okay. Any other questions on the monthly invoices?
Tell me, asked me this, so where does the food come from now? He said it was Platteville or whatever, what's?
It comes from Lancaster, it comes from Grant County Jail. That's where the food's prepared. Yeah, yep.
we ever tried to get anybody? I know Roadrunner Restaurant used to do it here, correct?
No, so since I've been here, we used, for the longest period of time, we got it from, Schmidt Woodland Hills.
And they
Um,
contract with
And
Aviance.
they had contracted with Aviance for the food, and for, I guess for the prep as well. A long time ago, we got it from the hospital.
Yeah. a long
Yeah.
time ago.
We have been in talks through Candace and everything going on with Pine Valley about the potential of Pine Valley providing our meals, but we're still under contract with, Summit for our meals.
For how long? Do we know?
I think through 25, if I'm not
There's
mistaken.
two
Yeah.
longer contract. Okay.
So I think we have to finish 25 and then we can take a serious look. We actually did take a serious look at Pine Valley. It's just, we're under contract. So, but potentially Pine Valley making our meals for us.
Seems like that'd be more efficient.
Yeah.
So, and we did do cost estimates years ago when we did Aviance, and Aviance beat the price of Pine Valley Manor.
I knew that, yes.
So it has been done, and it is
Quite a
cost.
little cheaper, it just seems hard to believe.
Yeah, I know.
David comes.
So yeah, they have, this is probably something we're gonna have to do if we were to switch to Pine Valley, is they have these little, not little, they're big styrofoam containers that you plug into the wall, and they have heater elements, stick-on heater elements on the inside of them, and it keeps the trays warm. Because they come here, I'll say like supper as an example, comes at 3 o'clock, and we plug it into the wall, and it sits in those. It's gotta be, we have to check, it's gotta be a certain temperature when it comes out, but, that's,
No more bread and water, huh?
yeah, no, bread and water, no. No, we have to have meals prepared by a registered dietitian, so, yeah.
Okay, anything else on monthly invoices? Not, looking for a motion to approve the monthly invoice. So moved. Thank you, Mr. Cosgrove, second with Manning. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Carried, thank you. We've already discussed item 9 and 10. Item number 11, discussion of the possible action of the Sheriff's Department office surplus firearms. It's in your packets. This is Sheriff. Any questions? I think we're ready to go with this.
Yeah, and like I said, I think the plan was, it sounds like we're gonna go forward with, we'll use the ATF form that I had discussed in the last meeting. And we'll, I did get a quote from, one of our vendors for what would be a trade-in value for them, and I think we can use that for a value for the weapons and go from there.
So basically, because there is not a county policy on this?
Yeah, there's old board rules, the old Rule 14
Correct.
would cover this, yeah.
So this is getting it together to the county board for approval, so you can take care of it. But then we still at some point need to go back and rewrite those rules and make sure that they're correct. So this is a temporary fix to get this through the process.
So what have we decided as far as you put them out there advertised for sale, or have we really narrowed it down how they will be sold actually, or?
I'm just, at this point, this is just to cover if we sell the staff.
Just the department.
Yeah, if it goes elsewhere from that,
That'll be another.
yeah, that'll be a
Challenge.
discussion, or I trade them into an authorized vendor, or we put them up for auction. I think the preference was is that it just go out to a general auction though.
So that's yet to be determined.
Yeah.
Yeah, this resolution is just for selling to staff of the office.
All right, any questions on this? I'll be looking for a motion to approve this resolution.
Move for approval.
Thank you, Severson, second by Cosgrove. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, finally. Taking some time, we've gotten there. All right, item number 12, regarding 89.7, pass this off again, another month at least. I did start a conversation with Attorney Wendell and Clay. Primarily what we're discussing here, and I think we're getting closer, is the term policy was the last big discussion we had. What's the sheriff's policy? What's the county policy? And I think we had some confusion on how that went. Attorney Wendell did send an email out today, or yesterday, I guess it was, maybe I look at the date, saying that this really should be part of county policy and how that's managed. So we will further that discussion and do some clarification before I bring it back to this committee, if that's okay. All right, thank you. We'll table that and then move on. Discussion and possible action regarding the approval of payment for a new canine required training from donated funds. Item number 13, and there's a resolution in here for that. Clay?
Yeah, so as kind of explained earlier, this is that big ticket for the canine.
For the current canine?
This is for the new one we're getting.
That's going to be coming in a few weeks.
Yeah. So this is the cost to purchase the dog itself, the cost for the training program for the dog and handler, and the housing for the handler while they're down there for training. They have their own dorm facility at this facility, and so they charge you to stay there, but it's pretty cheap, really, what they charge you. So that's what this covers. Again, it's out of donated funds. That's basically how most agencies run these programs.
That donated fund.
I would have to check to be like 100% accurate, but I bet it's right now before these bills come out, we're probably pushing close to 40,000. That's an estimate. But
About what I was understanding.
Yeah.
40.
Yeah.
So, and just to be clear, the amount of this estimate is for the amount that we just approved, that 20,325 that's
Yep.
on there.
Yep.
And then there's another canine expense on there, the 5,950 is already coming out, able to come out of that fund because it's already been approved previously.
So that is, the reason we don't have a resolution for that is because Candace can approve expenditures.
Because it's under
10,000.
10,000.
Yep. So that's why that one doesn't have a resolution.
I just want to make it clear to the public because
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of questions or comments about how much do the canines cost and then why is the police department spending money on that? It's good to know, to make sure everybody is understanding that this is 100% donated funds.
Yeah.
It's from fundraisers,
Yep.
from direct donations, that kind of thing that's in that fund.
As an example, like we just got a $7,000 check from Don Jones Memorial Golf Outing. So it's through events like that and just generous donors in the public that that's what fund these programs. So yeah, it's not county dollars. It's the public and our community that keep these programs going. So
Is that a webpage that could be put up on the county site?
What was your question?
Is that a webpage that could be put up on the county site or Clay's page? That just informs the public, here's how this is paid for?
I mean,
Not a bad idea.
we're pretty open about that. That's how it's funded. I mean, even to a point where when we go out when we do demonstrations, that's a topic that is brought up in every demonstration. We talk about our local vendors. We have 2 local vendors that supply us dog food. Yeah. So I mean, we're pretty open that it's really is a community effort that we have these. From veterinary work to food and just funding the program.
And you'd have a place you could send them to when they ask you.
Yeah, I just see things, see comments online mainly.
Right,
People are making complaints about it, why the
Yeah.
police department is spending money on
I
that.
think that'd take care of that
I
issue.
think it would too, and I think it would be good to have it on the webpage. Maybe that's something, because I know we're in the middle of trying to redo our website. So maybe when that happens, I know that's been delayed because of the radio tower project and other things, but maybe when that happens, then the sheriff's department page could be updated to have more of that information, and then also ways for people to be able to donate directly to that fund. More businesses and or individuals may donate if that
Yeah.
information was readily available.
They can donate right off that page.
So we have, on our website, we have a separate tab for the canine.
Okay.
And that's, and I'd have to talk with Barb and Jason about this, but that's probably something we could include in like a general paragraph under that is, if it's not there already, it might actually be, I would have to look, but, that's something we probably have some flexibility that we can adjust, so. Okay.
Very good. Any other discussion? Looking for a motion to approve this resolution to the county board. Cosgrove. Manning seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to the county board. Thank you very much, Clay. It's great that this is completely funded. It's just awesome. Yeah. All that works for this community. And
I do have one question. Do they still train them under a foreign language yet?
Yes, yeah, most of them are trained, in Dutch or, yeah.
Does that make it difficult for the officer?
No, because I mean, they only have to learn so many words. Yeah. Yeah.
all right. Item number 14, correspondence. I have nothing.
Nothing for the guys. You do get mail out, so there might be mail in your box, but there's nothing official for this.
Okay, all right. And I get points for picking mine up today. Yes.
I do have just one quick little thing, probably should have included it in the report, but I want to throw it there. Fairly soon, we will have, staff pictures up on the website. Just jogged my memory when we talked about the website. But there will be staff pictures up on the website, so I've been working with MIS on getting that done, but we did take pictures of everybody who works here. I keep hearing in the public that we have so many new faces and we don't know who everybody is, so we will have a picture of everybody.
Including the canine.
Including the canine.
Peanuts.
Part of the staff, let's make sure there's your opportunity.
Yeah.
Understood?
Yeah, so that will be updated on our website, so you can go online. Have a name to attach to the face, and yeah, we're just trying to, for multiple reasons, we wanted good pictures of everybody. But we also, we hear this all the time, is you have such a young department, such a new department now, and we don't know, everybody knew all those names from the past, and there's been a lot of retirements in the last 5+ years, and
A lot of change.
so a lot of change. So we're trying to get these faces out there so people can get to know them.
All right, any other correspondence, comments, questions? All right, hearing none, item number 15, future agenda items. Anybody? Hearing none, you can always get a hold of us, we'll get them put on. Item number 16, adjournments, looking for to adjourn, the motion to adjourn. Manning.
Second.
Fleming. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. All right. Oh, nice.